Welcome everybody to a new episode of iGaming Sales Heroes video interviews. I'm here today with Erkki Nikunen, CCO of Finnplay. Welcome, Erkki.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you today?
Pleasure
Is
to be
everything
here.
okay?
Yeah, everything is good. We're actually back in the office now.
Okay.
At least half of the people now. And tomorrow the schools open, so a few more people can start to come to the office. And
Very
we're
good.
getting some snow today, which is a bit of a surprise. But
It's always
yeah,
nice.
was not really expecting any snow anymore. But
Okay. Well, you never know these days.
no, it seems to be
You know
something
what,
new every
Erkki?
day.
I will start a little bit with you introducing yourself, how you started in the sales, in the iGaming, what's your job title, what you do, please.
Yeah, so I started in sales quite a long time ago in my parents' antique shop, and then have been in sales organizations, big and small, but from that ever since. In iGaming, I started in early 2000s. I started as a business development manager or business owner in a company called Eget, which was actually a platform provider. So it's quite familiar role for me to be
Yes.
there. And then actually that company was acquisitioned by an operator, and then I was working for the operator for a few years. After that, I was actually out of the iGaming industry for a few years. I was back in IT, where my roots are, and then in 2000. I believe 13. I joined Finnplay as a partner, and nowadays I've been heading the sales and marketing. So I've been, but also I've been the CCO, and nowadays I'm actually CMO. So we have actually streamlined so that I try to keep myself out of the legal side of things.
Okay. And why sales then? Why you decided to, let's say, move to these roles and these responsibilities?
Well, I would say that there's the sales and like I said, that I've been doing that for pretty much all my time and in my career, and I have good experience, and that comes quite naturally for me, and it's not something that somebody is born with, but I've had a lot of training and courses from a lot of employers who actually are really focusing on that. So I feel that I have good experience and skills in that. So that is where
I
my
can
strengths
definitely
lie.
agree on that.
Well, thank you.
So, Erkki, because now you also, let's say, you have to deal with sales, with marketing, you have to be sure that, let's say, there is a connection, which actually is very important between marketing and sales, because marketing is responsible to create leads that sales need to nurture and to convert into new projects. So
Yes.
the next question is going to be, what is the most challenging task you find while working on your daily activities? Is there anything in particular that you say, this is not so easy, or it takes me a lot of time, or what's your opinion on that?
Well, it's very easy to get distracted especially when you're wearing several hats. And luckily it's not, we have grown in the last few years quite a lot. So it's not only a one-man show for sales and marketing. So I do have help, which is very important. But I think balancing those different tasks and just finding ways to work, especially again in these difficult times. But now being back in the office, it's much easier because you don't have to set up a meeting to ask a simple question, but you can actually go to a person and ask the question. So that is how I see better. So
And I would
that
add
has been a
that
very challenging.
yes, and I would add that your life is a little bit easier because usually, especially in medium big companies, you have this eternal fight between marketing and sales because marketing believes something and sales believes something else. In your case, it's
Yes.
easier because you decide everything. So
Yeah, it helps. I can tell you that kind of helps. But I never really have seen marketing and sales as a different functions. They are
I
very
agree.
much
This is
supporting.
100% true. Yes,
Yeah, they are very much supporting, and one cannot really do without the other. So.
I agree. I agree. So,
Mm.
because you mentioned that you have plenty of experience, not only in the gaming, but in sales in general, I'm quite curious to understand what was the most challenging negotiation you handled and how? I mean, it was any particular customer, of course, you don't have to say names and companies, uh, a particular situation that you found yourself, okay, this is something that I need to handle in a certain way, and how you manage to fix it.
Well, definitely the more difficult negotiations have been in iGaming rather than any other industry, because if you're working, let's say, a clear product, there is a specific need with the client, and here is your car, camera, whatever you are selling, and it's a pretty much one size fits all, which of course in iGaming is very much more complex because there's legal things that you need to consider. There's different requirements. Is the customer's history in land-based or not, or are they focused on betting, which is familiar to you, or whatever they decide to do. So those, of course, negotiation about prices and those are always more or less the same. But it's actually what for me is always the challenge, and when you find the answer is very rewarding, is that you're actually find the solution and are able to offer what the customer actually wants and is looking for, because then you're actually quite far in the discussions. And it's not that easy always to find the correct one.
Yes, basically because let's say, as you rightly mentioned, we work in an industry that does not have actually too many standards. So you need to be quite flexible because there are different markets, different jurisdictions, different
Yeah.
requirements, different characteristics of the product. I would say that you need to be sure, and this is connected also to the other interview I had before with Arcangelo, that you need to be able to create value
Yes.
for your customer. Otherwise, it doesn't make even any sense to try to sell something to someone that you know that you cannot give him any value, because even though you will manage at the end to come to an agreement, the project will not work. So
Yes, exactly, and that is in this industry, knowledge is so important, because if you are not really knowledgeable of the market that the operator is in, or the requirements that there legally is, or whatever in the UK or Sweden are good examples of what the regulators can do and what the operator is responsible for. If you don't know what it is that is required,
you will
you're
get
out.
into big troubles.
You will get in troubles, and you're out because of course the customer will notice that actually these guys don't know what they're delivering and or what we need.
I understand. I agree totally. So to jump to the next question, because you mentioned in the introduction that you had, let's say, several courses, several training programs that you follow up during your past experience. I would also add, what was your favorite one and why? And if you are, let's say, if you like any sales book, which is your favorite title?
Um, well, the
If you have anything
time
to
where,
suggest to the public that will listen to us.
yeah, well, the last time I read actually a sales book must be over a decade ago, so and cannot remember the names, but during my career, I also worked for several years for a company called Canon, which majority of people know from either cameras
I know.
or printers or copy machines or wherever. But they actually they regardless where you are working in which country, they have 80,000 people, which of course, and it is a sales and manufacturing operation when you dig into it. So they have very strict way that they want their salespeople to work, and so and they are really putting an effort and investing in all their staff. So they were every quarter there was 2-3 days of consultancy about how to improve yourself and your way of working and how to be more structured in your cases and how to actually present on a whiteboard, starting from everything like that. So actually it was quite
But were you doing role-playing things or how?
yes, everything, and we even had drama courses, so that I don't know, you on cue you can cry if you're not getting the deal, whatever you want. It was a bit different world in the mid 90s, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's like a Wolf of Wall Street approach.
Yeah,
Kind of.
well, yeah, that's maybe putting it a bit too much. but yeah, there was a lot of different techniques and negotiation tactics that they wanted you to learn, and whether or
What
not.
was their main point?
Uh, well, it was basically how to act clear and understand what you're doing, and also understand the market and the competitors. But it was mostly about presenting yourself and just to be um, to use certain methods.
I understand. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So to go to to the last question, actually, if you would have to give any advice to the potential sales heroes of tomorrow, what could have been?
Um, in typically in sales in general or in iGaming.
Let's say I would say in sales, and because we work in iGaming, in iGaming as well.
Yeah. Well, depending, of course, are you in the start of your career? So there's a lot that you need to do, especially in the beginning, and there's no replacement for actually hard work and getting out of your own comfort zone. I would say that for anybody who starts in sales, a good start would be something like cold calling.
Mhm.
That you really understand what the meaning of the word no is actually. So I would say that is a pretty crash course for anybody who starts in sales, and you also get to deal with a lot of people a lot of time.
Mhm.
Personally, I have never been in telesales, but I have been doing cold calls, of course, for customers. But and it's not that pleasant thing to do. I still hate it. But if you have to do it, then you just have to do it. So hard work, I say always, and then the further you get in your career, and let's say especially in iGaming, I think the network that you have built around you to support you and to help with introductions, like you and I often introduce customers to each other.
Yes.
So without this kind of network and help and trust that you built over the years, it's going to be a very lonely way to be a successful salesperson.
I agree. Network is the key. I mean, if you have, let's say, of course, to build the network, you need to have the right approach. I mean, you need to treat people in a certain way that let them feel comfortable to want to be connected with you. So I agree with you that network is one of the keys, especially in our business, because there are not too many people around. And at the end of the day, we almost all know each other.
Yes, it is high volume, but quite a small industry, and you in a few years you will start to know majority of the people in it.
You will start asking not to print new business cards because you.
Yeah, exactly. The only reason to give a business card is that look, we have new image.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but I would say the most important thing is hard work, networking, and trust. That is what you eventually take away.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Do you have any other advice to give to our the people that will listen to this video interview? Anything you feel that you want to share with us?
Well, nowadays for salespeople, it's very difficult to social distancing. So, but you should try to remember that anyway.
Yes, we want our flights back. Give our flights back. Our flights back.
Yes, exactly. But other than that, I think that's about it.
Okay, good. I really would like to thank you for joining me today, and I hope that the listener will like what we discussed and follow us. Don't forget to follow us on our social media channels, and see you soon. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank
Ed.
you. It was a pleasure.